already know what day it is.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I am gonna brief also about our recent meetings with the town of Crew.
Okay.
On fire and water.
All right, I call to order this Tuesday, March 7th, Fire and Water Committee meeting. Open the floor for Mr. Norman to run through some items. Or Chief, whoever wants to go first.
I think there's a couple issues that were brought.
Yeah, I mean, they're both, I guess, I stirred the pot on all of these. So, yeah, you're welcome. So the first one was the fire hydrants, and definitely understand it's a financial obligation to get it done. Don't know if you've driven through the town of Crew, but I want to say Main Street, I don't know if they did any off branches, but they flow tested those hydrants, which is extremely valuable for us. A hydrant, it gives water, it might not give gallons. So fire-wise, we need to know how many gallons are coming out of a hydrant. If we have, I'd say Food Line catches on fire, we know the biggest hydrant is the one at Citizens, not the one that goes at the entrance, just the way the water lines run. But we know that. Those individuals that might not know it say they'll grab the closest one and they're not going to get the water that they need to fire flow. So we're really looking at an opportunity to do what's really recommended by the NFPA to actually do this every 5 years. And it's not only knowing the gallons per minute that's coming out of them, we also couldn't tell you the last time some of the caps have been greased. You know, every hydrant probably never gets exercised around here except when they do flow testing. So I think that
Every time we
flush, I'm sorry.
every quarter.
But I think they use the same hydrants every time when they flush hydrants. I don't think
They
they,
should be flushing every hydrant.
Are they doing every hydrant?
It should be. Unless there's one broken or there's a particular reason not to do one, every hydrant needs to be flushed.
I thought they only did,
They should
Okay.
be flushing every hydrant. Now, if they're not, there's probably a reason, and I asked Andre what their reason is, why we're not doing a particular
yeah.
hydrant. But
How many guys do we have typically come in on those nights?
half a million gallons more,
So, but how many
So,
guys?
How many people?
How many people are out
probably 6.
and they do it multiple nights? It's 2 or 3 nights.
2 or 3 nights, yeah. Well, we try not to do them when it's very cold, so we don't create a big ice rink real quick. We try to do them every quarter, and we try to tie the flushing in with its THM testing. Because we want to flush it and get any extra chlorine out of the system,
So
or any extra disinfection back.
it's, I guess the rationale is that it really needs to be done. The man hours to put forth is too much for us, and I honestly question if the town has the capacity to do it. And it's, with it, to do it correctly, you open one hydrant, you get the flow, you open the next one in the loop to see how much you drop, and it's a calculation. You look on a sheet, and that's your flow out of that hydrant. And then you paint the caps and the bonnet according to NFPA colors.
What levels are they typically at? How many different levels would we be testing when I say so I'm thinking in my head that we would be marking them green, yellow, red.
There's 4.
That's what my question was. What different tiers are there?
Blue is above 1,500 gallons. Green is 1,000 to 1,500. Orange is 500 to 1,000, and red is below 500 gallons.
Pretty much. I mean, except for you got that extra tier of like the blue level.
Blue.
So we're 4 tiers.
4 tiers, yeah.
What kind of what kind of flow are you looking for? I mean, I'm assuming that we're using it to fill equipment, or to run to a
Right.
pump truck.
So our normal 1 single 1 3/4 line is about 150 to 200 gallons per minute. So if you get into a big fire, Main Street, you definitely, if I put up a deck gun or the aerial device, that's an easy 2,000 gallons a minute.
You just do a master stream, you're dumping it.
There's no data that needs to be done. Andre can't do it right now. so we're gonna have to get somebody, third party to do it.
Well, that's what Chief and I were talking about prior. So I looked into it as national average is $175 per hydrant.
To do it, to do the test.
So if he
I
said
would
we had,
like to
he said we had
is-
450, so that
In
would
certain
be
strategic points while
79,000.
we're doing it, I'd also like to do a Bateau test, which is a pressure as well. It just flow, because pressure helps us with people with development projects and things like that, the Bateau testing or pressure testing is also something, I don't know if you need to do every hydrant, but in certain
I wanna say that's a
junctions or locations.
part of hydrant testing to see what your residual is, your residual pressure.
Mhm.
Cause
Usually to run 50, 60, 70,
Yeah.
something like that. But I think it's just something that we put in a budget and try to do 2 neighborhoods a year or something like that. Just something we put in there and say, we're gonna do 100 hydrants a year.
Or if you say that you do Main Street and then divvy off
start
that.
Do it by
working on.
Say we'll do
Do
one a year.
Main and Church, or and then do West Entrance, then do whatever it is.
Is this not something where, instead of doing $79,000 worth of hydrant testing, is this not something where it could identify prominent, or, like, for instance, Main Street would be a prominent area where you need to know the testing,
Mhm.
because like you said, you got the area, that's the section where you're probably gonna use aerial device.
Yeah.
Is there a way to identify a heat map where, hey, these are the ones we should probably do, and try to narrow the scope down a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely do, places with family
Yeah, UMAC,
structures.
obviously, and
UMAC, Patriot Square, duplexes, Courthouse Road, some of those with higher occupancy. Commercial and higher occupancy is definitely, do we need to go into Lakeview Cemetery and flow test hydrants? Wouldn't be beneficial.
But the one thing we gotta keep in mind is, what do we do with the ones that pick it? And you got a bunch of hydrants that pick it, as many as are in town, but they're just scattered all over Creation. I think we gotta focus in town first.
yeah, I don't know if it's
Yeah.
truly. There may be some out there that we need to test just to have. I mean,
If Andre
obviously-
says they're, but I would just focus in town, just leave picket alone right now.
Because I think a lot of pickets need work.
yeah, we know that.
And we got a lot of hydrants that probably need replacing out at Pickett. Maybe a lot of dead ones out there. I think they had a list of 5 or 6 fire departments. They had 5 or 6 that are bagged out there. Need replacement. So if it's agreeable to you guys, I'm agreeable to get it done. But if you can give me a couple, 3 years, $25,000 a year or something like that to get them all done, do it over the course of 3 years, and just focus on your Main Street, Church Street first year. Second year, maybe we do east of Main, and third year we do west of Main.
Gotta sacrifice some ditches. What do you think?
It's a lot of money to test a hydrant. I know it's important, but it's hard for me to justify when, within 5 hydrants, you pay for the equipment. So, I understand it's manpower, and it's,
I just can't.
That's a
ask
heavy cost
more
for them.
longer right now. I mean, it just doesn't have time. Getting ready to dig up Church Street and everything, all the new pavement. You see
I
the-
saw him cammering some
it's
stuff
an
over.
old- It's an old clay terracotta sewer line, it's backed up turn.
Huh.
Crushed. Can't get the sewers out there.
Would this come out of the enterprise fund for water and sewer?
Hmm?
Would this be out of water and sewer? Would it?
Okay. Like a
Because
capital
I'm-
project or something.
No, it comes out of the department's budget.
No.
Well, if you really get down to it, it's probably coming out of the electric department, cash wise,
Yeah,
when time
to
comes.
tell the truth, yes. Yeah.
Portion will be paid for with cash from electric, fire trucks, everything.
are there grants for this?
Yeah, that's what my next question. I mean, for development wise, if you need pedo,
Pressure testing is probably the question I get more than the flow testing, from people that wanna build a hotel.
Mhm.
Is there grant opportunities for that?
Hmm?
Is there grant opportunities for that?
There's 2 opportunities that I can investigate, one's with CERCAP, and the other one's with Rural Water Association, and see if there's some money out there, there's a 50% grant.
I mean, anything's better than nothing.
Is this, I know that Andre's covered up, but I know that he's not always the one, not the one always opening the hydrants. Is this something that somebody else want a responsibility to start
Andre,
working on?
yeah, the other guys are opening the hydrants, but I really, I I don't know if you wanna take the garbage men and have them doing flow testing. That's who's helping us at night. The garbage men, got a street department, all that sort of thing. I think it probably takes somebody, with a little specialized knowledge, a little specialized ability, especially if you're gonna grease these
Yeah.
tops and do all this kind of stuff, but, Andre exercises the hydrant pretty regularly at Pickett because he has to, because they're so damn. Now, there's a guy down in Lunenburg County that's actually got a machine that'll exercise all the hydrant valves, and that's what I'm talking about with the key. You get grit, you get sand in them, and they're really, really hard to open on occasion. So, there's a guy, Ronnie Williams in there, Precision Pipe, he's actually got a machine that will slowly but surely, because if you pry too hard, you bust
You
them.
can snap it out.
Then you got a total mess, and you gotta go there and fix it and dig it up.
And also on this, the hydrants, not only the bonnets need to be painted, but the whole hydrants need attention. We got red hydrants, yellow hydrants, gray hydrants. There's no consistency of, I know it's probably a small point, but if you're gonna do it, and it'd probably make it easier to identify which hydrants were done in addition to the bonnet caps.
Budget process?
Yeah, you're gonna have to, I mean,
Something we're gonna have to look at, sure.
All right. The second part is the landlord certification form. So I found this on the internet off of is it Virginia Housing Development Authority, VHDA. And we keep talking about rental inspections, but it's not getting done, and I have no idea how to keep up with that. I think it's a great expectation, but as many rentals as we have around here, to be able to monitor the ins and outs, I think is a logistical nightmare. This form I'm assuming there's a summary of all landlords or,
The utility account is probably the best way we can find out, because we do get leases, do we not? So we can go back through that list of leases that we have and certainly get at least a rudimentary understanding of
who owns. And this is pretty much taking it all off the town. It's the landlord fills it out, he certifies it, gives it to the renter, so the renter knows.
and he's just certifying that, yes, the smoke detector's been checked, so then, if something happens, and that smoke detector doesn't work, then it's liability would fall on,
The landlord is responsible for testing them, changing the batteries. I'm pretty sure it's changing the batteries as well. But your newer smoke detectors are a 10-year battery versus the 9-volt. And it pretty much says the tenant's not supposed to touch them. So if the landlord does their job, I think that's 90% of the battle of the problem that we're seeing on these rental properties of not having smoke detectors. And
it says tenants shall not remove, disconnect battery or electrical power of smoke alarms.
and this is already in state code.
So this is just a form having them actually sign it, the landlord.
The landlord saying, I have a smoke detector, it goes to the tenant, can be given to the town, so we have record. And then if the tenant says, what do they mean? I don't have a smoke detector, then you kind of got something to fall back on.
Makes sense.
Instead of going out there and inspecting, using the manpower and hours and
Plus, because if I was a landlord, I'd go, oh man, I'm about to sign this form, I need to go make sure there's smoke detectors.
Mhm.
I mean, this is liability all over it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It falls back on them by all means.
And there might be a second page to it where there's signatures.
Gotcha.
And we're just, what happens if they don't turn this form in? Is there any repercussion?
It's in the state code, and I assume it carries a penalty of some sort. State code sections will typically have a misdemeanor of some sort associated with them, class 1, class 2, class, whatever it is. I can't imagine there's anything more in class 4.
If I had to guess, probably 70% of rentals would be fine, but there's some I'm sure that.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, if you've been renting a property to somebody for 5 years, if there's no issues, they're never going in that house probably.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that smoke detector might not have been touched. This says every 12 months, somebody has to certify that that smoke detector is working, the landlord.
Sounds good to me. What do you think? You dabble in that more than I do.
I think it's
I think it looks
a
good.
valid point, yeah. And our inspection program is a little tedious. That's
Problem with the inspection program is there's an honor part to it.
100%.
We're supposed to be doing, and I get it, but we've tried to withhold getting utilities turned on. Man, it is a circus because people come in and get your power cut on. Nope, you got to do the inspection first, and it is just a poop show because they're trying to move in there and just a circus. I will say Carolyn Davis is great about it. She's fantastic. Other tenants or other landlords probably are not as attuned perhaps to it, but she's been, I don't want to throw her under the bus in any way, but you really need somebody to spend time working on this thing, and I just can't turn Chastity loose doing that. That's a half time getting it done. I mean, it's just a lot of time. I don't want to say that, you know, we're overworked government people because we can do, but to make this work right, you got to put some energy and effort into it. I think Yvonne gave it a pretty good stat at one point. It still was a flop.
Yeah, there's
To be honest with you.
really no way to keep up, and then to be able to get access into the
You gotta get in house,
property.
You got to coordinate with the inspector and all that kind of stuff.
we're what, 60% rental in Blackstone?
Yeah. I wouldn't say that's far off, but I don't.
Like I said, I think that's another page because signatures on this.
Are you proposing that we distribute these to all the landlords in town?
Yes,
Okay.
because
That we can probably find a way to certainly come up with a list, and Alex or somebody over the utility department, we can get them out. You got them? There you go. Yeah,
Sounds
get
good.
'em out.
Do we want to make a motion to it, or we want to make a motion to present it to council, or?
It is only, I'm looking at it through DHCD, there is no second page.
there's no second.
We would need,
A
for Teeth,
signature
it needs
page.
to have signatures on it.
Yeah,
DHCD, it literally is what's here. I think signatures put a little more teeth in it.
Yeah.
I think get the signature page and.
Signature, for sure.
yeah, between the landlord and the tenant.
And the tenant recognizing that, yes, the property owners actually said they did it.
All right, well, I'll make a motion to get a signature page and present it to council.
Second?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
That's it.
We'll figure out how to get this testing done. I just gotta figure out how to do it without making Andre completely nutty. 2 items, and if I can take some of your time without Eric making me laugh. As you may or may not know, we're in the process of getting our remote water meter reading program going. We've got one book in. We have 8 books. Book 8 is Fast C, so we have 7 traditional or standard books that we read. We've replaced book 8, I believe, and book 7. And if you look downtown, like in front of Trend, there's a new little note on top. We've had some software problems, and I probably haven't been very nice to the software folks and said, we've given you $250,000 of money. We expect this to work, and we expect it to work immediately. So it's our expectation after last week that we should have the ability to move forward with the continued putting in meters. Okay, I'm withholding any payments to any contractors. I've got a $63,000 invoice sitting on my desk that I will not pay until this system is fully working, but we have paid $204,000 that we took from line of credit at Benchmark Bank, paid for that big batch of meters, and we paid Census $14,000 in software, and it's time for it to work. Okay, so we've put the rules down, and I told them if we can't get it to work, just give us our money back and go away. All right.
Sounds good.
Item number 2, Town of Crew and I They asked me to meet with them at the airport in regards to meeting with the engineers, town of Crew's engineers. The town of Crew has hired a lobbyist to try to look out for their interests with the General Assembly. They have a staff engineer called Hurt and Profit, and they've also brought in Wiley Wilson. Wiley Wilson is an engineering firm that was originally with the Department of Behavioral Health, the behavioral center that's up there, VCBR. When we met with them 4 years ago almost, in regards to running water lines to those facilities directly from the town of Blackstone, Wiley Wilson was the state's engineer. They did a procurement process of some kind and then didn't hire Wiley Wilson. So Wiley Wilson is advising the town of Crew on their nickel ideas to make it work. We met with their engineer, representative from Hurt and Profit, and of course the town manager and Crew, and myself. We met and discussed still providing water to the town of Crew. They're still interested in doing that. A couple things that I told them that we probably really are not interested in, and that's being a part-time provider of water. I just told them, we use 500,000 gallons a day as the basis for our calculations. If you're only going to buy 200,000 gallons a day, we can't still pay for all these debt services at this level. So I think town of Crew is still trying to find a way forward where they can still retain their independence and Crystal Lake, but use Blackstone water as a supplemental source. And I think that's just a hideous idea for the town of Blackstone. I think you're going to get a lot of O&M costs, operation and maintenance, and have a significant debt service with not having a full volume of water. So I did tell them it was the town's interest that they would become a full-time customer if they went with us.
Well, I hope it would be our intentions that whatever we do, if we do run a line to Crew, which I don't think there's an issue of us, I don't think any of us up here will say, no, we don't want to help Crew out.
Correct.
But I also don't think it should come on the dime of our taxpayers
And
and
that's-
water providers of Blackstone. The debt service needs to come from the
Well,
user.
that's how we scheduled it and presented it to them previously.
I don't think our rate should go up any here to help supplement something going up there.
Well, here's the one issue that you do have then. You need to sit down and think. There's several different improvements that need to happen. Obviously, a line needs to be built.
Raw water line, stuff like that.
The raw water line is a responsibility, I believe, of not only us, but Pickett and everybody. So it's split amongst, but there are two capital projects that are specific only to Crew. And that is running a 20-inch water line or 16-inch water line from Main and Dinwiddie back to where we replaced the line in front of the bowling alley, and then going down Military Road from the main gate, coming down, turning on 10th Street and upgrading that booster station that we just built. Those lines are too small. The 10-inch lines, Max says we need 16-inch lines to
Too
serve.
small if we do Crew's project.
That's totally Crew.
Not too small right now. I mean,
Not too small now, but if you were to double or triple and literally they sell that much more water than we do because they have the prisons, it needs to be 16-inch water line. The raw water line has a split or a blending, but again, the raw water line isn't giving us big problem. It just, and Mac's concerned you start tripling your water consumption, he feels like that's going to put enough pressure that you probably will start having some problems. It's just 82 years old or 81 years old is the problem with it.
My words to, my words to Crew in the county were, we're here, same thing Philip's been saying, we're here, we want to help, but we're not going to do so at the detriment to Blackstone citizens. And the same thing that he was saying, we're not interested in being a part-time water provider, we're interested.
I think it's a bad
in
move.
customer.
Yeah. I don't think you can pay for it because even if they're a part-time customer, you still got to go up to a 16-inch line. You can't just say, well, we'll just do a part-time 16-inch line. You're going to have to take that debt service, and you can't pay it on 200,000 gallons. The second thing that I told them was virtually mandatory is if we're going to do this, the only way to pay for it is if the prison, VCBR, and Piedmont Geriatrics stay as a customer, because without them, they drop into the 300,000 gallon range again. So those customers have to be part of the deal because you're just not going to push enough water. Okay.
You're not gonna manage their water system. You're just
No, our responsibility, as I envision it, would stop at the courthouse. They would keep their customers, the high school and the courthouse complex. We would tie in, have a meter, And then we would retain ownership and management of the line between that point, whether it's at the courthouse, the high school, wherever in that general area, back to town. That would be ours. Okay.
If I had to guess, we're probably gonna have to go to the courthouse, and then their lines would kind of backtrack them.
I think just following the 460 right away logically would be the way to do it. I do think the state has signed, and I know they have signed an MOU with Prince Edward County to buy water at $9 a thousand gallons of water. We can't even produce and provide to them, with the state building the line between Blackstone and the courthouse,
For that,
for less than $11.47.
do you see the,
And I'll be very honest with you, I know Prince Edward County can't do it either. They can't do it at $9. And when presented to the state and said, these are mythical figures, this is a unicorn, the state said, we don't care. They said $9. That's the rest of it's their problem. If it goes bankrupt, that's their problem. So if I lived in Prince Edward County, I'd be curious to how they're going to pay for the rest of it. I think they're just looking for a project.
The suggestion that myself or Phil made for the group was, when they're going after these projects, and something that we'd also said that we'd see if we'd work on,
Mhm.
would be adjust, giving variable rates based on input or based on money from the state. If you're willing to pay for this water line and then give us this on top of that, we can get the rates here. If you're willing to do this, then we're willing to be
I mean,
here,
if
and
the-
have a variable chart.
if the state comes up and says, we'll fund the whole water line, well, obviously, we could produce water cheaper.
Oh, yeah, anything you find that reduces our cost comes off but I do think there's a floor. It's an artificial floor, and that's the in-town rate.
Correct.
What is somebody in Blackstone, my mother-in-law, your parents, you, what do you say when somebody in Crew is buying water from us on a wholesale basis cheaper than we're,
Than what we provide in our investment.
and of course, Crew's position was, well, Pickett pays less than the in-town, but that was contractual, and that was part of the deal when the lines were given to the town. They signed a deal on what that water rate was gonna
What
be.
do you see I think Crew obviously would like to go our way, is what I'm reading.
I think they do.
But it all falls back on the prisons, the prison and VCBR and the hospital. What do you, what's the likelihood of them going with Prince Edward or likelihood of going with us?
I think the intention is, unless Crew comes up with a Hail Mary, you have to go to Prince Edward.
They still gotta get it paid for then.
Huh?
Prince Edward's gotta get it paid for. The problem is with Prince Edward.
Prince Edward's got to borrow 50, 80, however many millions of dollars to do this thing. So that's how I know they can't do it for $9. It's impossible to do it for $9 and function and pay for what they need to do. They're going to have to dip into other sources of funds from the town to pay for this thing, or from the county to pay for it, because Farmville's not participating. They don't want any part of it.
Farmville's got their own water source.
Well, they got the Appomattox River is where they get their water. So, I feel terrible for Crew. They're in a hell of a spot. And as they told us, time is of the essence. They've got 30 days, in their opinion, before Prince Edward County signs a formal contract to buy water or sell water to those prisons. I think, personally, the lobbyists have gotten Crew a respite so that the state doesn't seem like they're pushing the deal. But I know the number is not going to be less than $9. And the state's got an out no matter what. It's more expensive water. It's more expensive water. Well, the numbers don't work. We don't care. We get a contract that says $9. We don't care what happens to Prince Edward County.
You know how long the contract?
Hmm?
You know how long the contract is?
I don't. I've got a copy of the MOU.
Is that something you can?
I can get the MOU, and
So if it's a 5-year term and Prince Edward's eating the cost for 5
And then
years,
it
and
goes
Jack
up.
there's no telling. I think they're determined to fund Joe Hines' retirement, no matter what. So I don't know. I've never seen something like this. This is new to me. And the state has consistently said we're interested in a regional solution. Well, except for Nottoway County and Crew. We're not really concerned about them. We're concerned about our regional needs and Prince Edward's regional needs. And I'll be honest with you, Ted, talking about a regional water authority with Prince Edward didn't help the situation at all.
That has kind of died, has it not?
I think the Board of Supervisors killed it.
That's no longer,
They're not pursuing that. And I don't think that they were pursuing it when the county administrator was communicating with the Prince Edward. I think that was a bit of a surprise to all of them. Certainly a surprise to the committee that had been working on it. All right, and that's where we're at. And obviously, I'll make MacBug's numbers available, but I don't want Mac spending another $20,000 doing this kind of
We've
stuff.
already done it on behalf of the state.
30,000, 28,000 bucks. Yeah.
Get anything back for it?
And DGS said go pack gravel. And you pay your own bills. Heads up. Any questions? Water or sewer projects, things? Anything?
Chief, when will the fire department be done?
Ooh, they said it was 8 days, and I think they started Thursday morning. Thursday, Friday. I assume they worked Saturday and Sunday. I wasn't around. But they did ask permission because the original notice to proceed did not allow them to work Saturday and Sunday without permission. I gave them the permission just to get it done quicker. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you're at 6, so we're assuming 2 more
Should be
days.
Wrapping up soon.
What's the drying time?
I want to say it was 48-hour cure. But part of the issue is, and we just realized this, and I don't know if the town can manipulate this. They can't close the door all the way because the.
Paint, right.
But the heat doesn't come on in the bay unless the doors are closed all the way.
Oh, man.
Oh, you mean at night, just for right now,
Yeah.
not permanently?
Not permanently.
So it just takes longer to cure? Is that the deal? No, I didn't know that. I didn't think about that.
I don't know how they have it wired, but if any door is not completely closed, the heat.
It's gonna be, there's probably a sensor on the bottom of the door that line up together. We have them at work. They don't control the heat, but we have sensors.
We have sensors that, the safety sensor.
Sometimes they tie into that. You can trick them with a magnet.
If we need to, I mean, we can call Amelia over at the door to come down and look at them and see if there's something. If it's gonna be days or weeks.
I just realized it last night.
Did not think a thing about it. Think I've been warned. Maybe that's helpful.
Yeah. But we're hoping to move back in Saturday if everything.
And they were putting urethane or a clear coat on it today. It was red and gray. Are there any yellow lines in between or
That's
red?
gonna be the last, they said the last thing.
That's the last thing on top of this coat that they're putting on there. Okay.
Life expectancy of this is what?
It's a 10-year warranty on it.
So in 10 years, are we thinking that we're probably gonna need to do another $100 and some thousand?
No, I think if anything, and this is complete assumption, would maybe another clear coat or something
Okay.
goes on top of it.
Gotcha. The expense, I think, if I'm guessing, probably came in the grinding
The grind-
and getting it down from the slick that it was.
We have an epoxy floor at work now, given it's a different product, and then I don't think it's as thick. When I was impressed with the packet that we read, but ours isn't gonna make it 10 years. Okay, it's gonna be grind and replace.
They did grind. I watched them Thursday morning.
Yeah, they,
15, 20 minutes for a grind.
But I think the product that you guys got is
A legit,
newer,
yeah.
well, ours was
Really.
every bit as cost a square foot that you guys just paid, and but I don't think it was as thick.
yeah, I think this is a 1/4 inch, if I remember correctly.
Ours was like an 1/8, but we're gonna have to.
They
probably
gave us an
replace
eighth
it.
option as a lower cost. It looked nice. I mean, it's gonna look pretty snappy.
Well, the main thing is it gonna be safer? It's not, the looks to me mean nothing compared to when you run in, you're not gonna bust your tail.
They couldn't 100% in the pre-build or pre-bid meeting. He says people can still slip and fall.
Correct. Well, that's like ice ring, I mean, it was.
Yeah.
Pretty slippery.
Anything else?
Fire truck. Any word? We still September, October?
Still October, yeah. We talked to the committee, we're trying to figure it out financially, but we want to do a midpoint inspection. So normally we do a pre-build and a final. South Hill is building a rescue truck, they're almost done, and I want to say their rescue truck is 1.2, 1.3 million for the rescue truck, and they did a midpoint, and we talked to them at the Chiefs conference. They said they found so many things that needed to be fixed in the midpoint that it didn't progress until the final inspection, and you're like, why did that happen? So we're investigating that opportunity to go, $1.7 million ladder truck. You don't you don't draw a blueprint for a house and then move in without slipping by to see what your house looks like. So we're talking to our sales rep they'll cover food and all that, we might have to do hotel and flight.
Who was the rep that was here this week?
He didn't, he still.
Yeah, I don't think
it has
that's
anything to do with
our
fire.
MES.
You said the plane said MES.
MES Fire Investigation.
Fire investigation.
Ah,
But when I Googled it, it just, only MES that came up with supplier. I didn't,
yeah,
couldn't find an
'cause
actual
MES
investigation.
Fire and Safety, so I don't know. It wasn't us, promise.
Yeah, he was only gone for probably 45 minutes, so I was like, oh, he must have ran, I figured he ran in and saw you guys about something, turnout gears, and then he came back.
The other big thing is the burn building, that's, Philip's talking about doing a spring cleaning up there to get rid of, we wanna get rid of that tanker. I think the kitchen is gone, I haven't driven out there,
What?
that military kitchen,
He got
Oh,
looking,
on that trailer?
looking right rough lately.
We're gonna tear down those buildings?
and we're gonna tear down the pavilion, we're eventually gonna need to put some kind of metal pavilion up out there. I'm really hoping that'll have more county buy-in on this. We have a 5-year inspection coming up. The rumor is that they set aside 200,000 of ARPA to assist, but I don't know. It was, when they presented it to the board, it had 200,000 in ARPA funds.
Gotcha. Strictly for training grounds?
Yeah, but I don't know,
Is there a functioning committee anymore?
there really isn't. No.
There isn't.
Nope.
Alright.
So it's I wanna say it was over 200,000 that needed it to be repaired, if I'm not mistaken, in the last 5-year. For the burn building to be used, it has to be certified, has to have yearly inspections, a 5-year inspection, architectural, to be compliant with the grant.
But there's no real commission to,
No.
so it's up to you and me and Cody and council?
Yep.
Okay. Alright,
And we've been putting a lot with, on Buddy and Emergency Services to
well,
really,
that's a good point.
Well, I mean, it's a county.
it's a county.
Ultimately, it's a county project. I
Supposed to
guess
be a regional thing, actually, yeah.
You
it's
s- yeah,
supposed to be
You're
regional.
supposed to be, yeah.
But it's on town property.
Well, I
and
mean,
it's
at that
quote
point
unquote-
though, if it's not a regional effort, do we ever get any others asking to use the property other
Yeah.
than Nottaway County agencies?
Hopewell's been out there.
Do they pay?
Yes,
Okay, as long as they're paying
Yep.
for it.
So who they give you the money?
they give us the money and we put it in our account and it's benchmarked for the burn building.
Gotcha.
So it's.
I don't
not-
care who holds the money, as long as
Yeah.
someone's paying into the pot.
Yeah,
I
you
can't be
don't,
that much, I can't imagine.
I wanna say it's $250 a day, if I'm thinking off the top of my, we're like one of the cheapest.
Yeah.
And that's why
They use
people
it.
use the
But
building.
I think the Prince Edward companies have started using the burn building in Farmville.
I think they have, yeah, they have.
Prospect and Pamplin
They,
maybe.
they have a natural or propane building, so we're one of the few that you could burn wood in. So a lot of them have gone all to the safer propane pits, and it's just not the same educational wise to put
Does
water
it
on.
smoke like it should?
They put in artificial smoke